Hey, Katie.
Hi, Alyssa. This is so fun.
Woo, okay.
Well, welcome to episode 290.
Almost to 300.
Oh, I know. I'll let you do like when we get to even numbers.
I do. Like it's going to start with a 3 soon.
You're like almost to 300 and still making mistakes.
Well, all the time. And we'll be able to say, yeah, we have 300 episodes.
I know.
Wild.
I know.
Okay, this episode is going to be about staying top of mind.
Yes.
What's the average now? People buy and sell a house every
10 years.
It's getting longer and longer.
You got to stay top of mind a long time.
Yeah. So we actually got an email from a listener that inspired this episode.
Okay.
She said, I'm wondering if you have ideas for buyers and sellers who sound promising, but they want to wait. Oh, I'm waiting until after the new year. I'm waiting until after Mardi Gras. I'm waiting until this summer when school gets out. I feel like I need to stay top of mind, but I worry about being a pest. How often should I check in with them when we have 2 to 3 months before they get serious or longer? I'm trying to send valuable content slowly, but I still feel like I'm on a balance beam. And I think this is a great question, not only for staying top of mind with people in your pipeline that are coming up, but also just for your database in general.
Mm-hmm.
After you sell someone a house, you don't want to just disappear forever.
Right.
But it is, I like how she said she feels like she's on a balance beam. Because
Right.
I can remember feeling that way, especially in the beginning.
You're like, I don't want to forget you, but I don't want you to think I'm pushy.
Yeah, like I had like the vision of the girl from Wedding Crashers that's like, I'll find you.
Wherever you are.
It was like every time I had a closing, I felt like they need to be my best friend. I need to have a relationship with these people for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
But 1,000 real estate transactions later, and you realize that that is just not super sustainable.
No, you can't stay besties, but I think whenever you're in the lead up here, like she's basically saying, I had a maybe, right? Someone said, maybe I want to buy or sell, or I do want to buy or sell, but not until 2 months from now, 3 months from now.
Mm-hmm.
In the period of time when you're trying to stay top of mind, I think it's important that you're a human,
Yeah.
not just a realtor.
Yeah, not a robot.
So just like pop into their life, and we're going to go through some ways, but I think you are going to feel pushy and salesy if all you ever do is approach it as a realtor.
Yeah. And before you even try to start thinking of ways to keep in touch, the first thing that I have to do is write them down somewhere.
Good call.
Insert Trello at this point. You know, Trello is free. We have a YouTube video. Just Google like Hustle Humbly Trello and you can see how I have mine all set up. But the point is that once you start writing down names, like every time you hear someone say, oh, I think after this time, after my daughter graduates high school, after this happens, once you start writing down those names, you will be amazed at how many quote unquote leads you have because it adds up.
Yeah.
I remember I started writing them down after like 8 months of being in real estate and couldn't believe how long the list was getting.
Right.
And also, you think you're going to remember, but you won't.
Right.
You will not.
And the worst call, email, text run-in you can have is, we bought a house. And then you're like, oh yeah, now I remember them saying they were thinking about buying like a year ago and I never asked again.
I never checked in.
That's the worst feeling. 'Cause you're like, then I do feel like I dropped the ball.
Yeah. So before you try to come up with a plan, write them down somewhere. Before I had Trello, they were in the notes section of my phone.
Okay.
And I had them as like A, B, C, D.
Right.
And D was like, they briefly said at a party, I'd like to buy a house one day.
Right. Maybe.
And I was like, that counts. I'm going to write
You're
you
going
down.
in.
I mean, I like collecting the names. So it was like a ding went off in my head. Like, oh, I need to go write them down.
Yes, your ears perk up.
They
right?
do.
When you're at the party or.
And I can just quickly do it, But yeah, writing them down, step 1. Is staying top of mind with your potential clients a source of stress and overwhelm?
Join us this fall as we take you by the hand and work together to revamp and organize your database.
Going through the Build Your Own Business 101 course together will give you the step-by-step process that guarantees you'll stay top of mind with your database and be the place they go with repeat and referral business.
Don't want to wait until the live teaching of the course in the fall to get started? You can grab Module 1 now for $37.
Jump on the waitlist and grab Module 1 at hustlehumblypodcast.com/BYOB. We can't wait to work through this course together in the fall. See you there.
Okay, while we're in that vein of writing them down, I put step 1 is to know who your people are. So you're hearing them say to you, but I think the problem when we go to reach out to everyone, where we're thinking about this in a database frame, is if you've added every person you've ever met on the internet, every person who's ever come into an open house, every single, you've collected up emails and phone numbers and names like it was your going out of business, you're not going to want to reach out to these people. You don't know them.
Right.
You do not know them. So you have to keep protective of your database if you're going to want to reach out and not feel awkward.
Yes.
So I'm not going to follow up gently and check in with people on social media that I met at an open house one time.
Right.
That's weird.
That is kind of weird. Yeah.
And stalkerish. And
also I would like to point out that the majority of the people in my Trello are not yet in my database.
Right.
So sometimes we get emails, and I understand that there are some out there that get confused where they think Trello is my database. Trello is not my database. It is my snapshot of what I have coming up and what I have going on right now.
Yeah. So you have 2 boards. Prospect, who those are the people at the party that said maybe one day I'll buy a house.
A year.
And then you have pipeline, which are the people who are actively looking or selling.
Those are the people that I really need to stay in touch with, check in with. How's your progress going? They're not in my database yet because they're sort of in limbo. They're in the process of moving. I've just met them as a new client. So they're in my pipeline and I'm working with them. And once we close, I'll be able to transfer them to my database to be on that list as well. But Trello is not meant to be a database. It's not really designed that way, but it's helpful to track a transaction.
Yeah. And remind you who to call.
Yeah.
To check on.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And then there is your email list. And your email list is where all those sweet friends who showed up at the open house go. And maybe I would say the people on your Trello could also be on your email list.
Yeah.
Like the prospect ones.
If I have an email, it can go in the email list, no matter who they are.
So everyone on your database is on your email list.
Yeah.
But not everyone on your email list is on your database. And on your Trello prospect list, they may or may not be on your database.
Right.
Depending on how far you've gotten in the relationship.
Yeah.
So the key definer here is, what is the relationship and what stage are we at in the process?
Yeah.
If you have your aunt who you've never worked with, but would obviously use you to buy or sell, or at least you hope so, she's on your database.
Yeah.
You have a relationship with her. If she mentions while you're out one day, hey, I think I am going to sell the house in a year, you would also then put her on your prospect list of Trello.
Yeah.
She should, if you have her email, also be on your email list because everyone from your database is there.
Correct.
So I know this maybe sounds like, oh, that's too many places to keep up with, but it keeps it to where you know what to do with which list.
Yeah. Go check Instagram this week. We're going to make a pretty graphic.
Oh, great. Of who goes where.
Explaining.
Who goes where.
So database, we have a relationship. I know where you live. Yeah. I have your address.
I have your address.
Yeah.
I'm sending you a Christmas card.
Yeah. Email list, anybody and everybody. If you have an email, you're on the email list.
Online
and you're on everybody.
Everybody needs to be on the email list.
And then Trello is my current business. This lets me know where I need to put my focus.
Yeah. And it's anyone also who said, I will buy or sell at some time in the future.
They are in the pipeline. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really not that hard.
I mean, I guess it's not that hard. Let's just move on. Okay. So need to know where they are. Now, how are we checking in with these people? Let's go back to our sample.
Okay.
She's 2 to 3 months out. How often would you check in?
It's so hard to say. It depends.
Right.
You know, if they're buying, that's different than if they're selling. If they're selling, the second I hear someone is selling, I don't really care how far out they are. I want to set up some sort of notification for their neighborhood.
Yeah.
Whether that's a subdivision report or whether that's just in MLS.
Is that weekly? How
So
often does the report come?
Well, in MLS, you can set it as weekly, immediately. I like to gauge their neighborhood. So if it's a huge neighborhood and there's always houses coming up, I just like to get that list once a week.
Right.
If it's a smaller neighborhood where things don't come on the market very often or there's not a ton of activity, I like it to come to me immediately. And that when I get that email that there's a new listing or one just went pending or one just sold, when I get that email, that is my prompt to shoot them a text and be like, hey, this one just came on the market. It's very similar to yours. This would be a good one to keep an eye on to see how they do.
So you're buffering through that information. It's not going straight to them.
Correct. Because I want it to be me reaching
Staying
out.
top of mind.
Yes. I don't want them to just get this automatic email and then they're like, why am I getting this email? I want to be able to say, now you need to be mindful too of how often you're setting up these notifications and is the time frame appropriate for that client, because you don't want to have 100 emails a day that you're sifting through because you have set up every single lead.
You,
yes.
Right.
So I am pretty mindful, and there's no special formula. You just have to like gauge the situation.
Right.
If this is someone that you need to be in communication with, and sometimes if something comes to me and I just checked in with that person and the information that just came to my email isn't as relevant as the other email was, I'll just delete it.
Yeah.
But it is, and I always make the MLS email subject line their neighborhood name.
Yeah.
So I know, oh, one just came up in Hickory Ridge. Here's my prompt to call, text.
I mean, you could even put neighborhood name for client name.
I do sometimes.
So that you can.
Yeah, like, oh, Hickory Ridge for Sally. Yes. Yeah, it's my prompt.
That's very good. Okay. What about though the subdivision reports that come from your, how often do those go from your office? Like for you, I know you do your past clients on them.
Yeah.
Do you ever do current potential listings on them?
Yes. So I do. I can set them up on the monthly report that just gives them.
It's monthly.
Yeah, it's monthly. And then there is also a property watch, but I usually prefer, which is sort of like MLS
what you're doing,
notifying you immediately.
Okay.
I just found that I didn't want it to go to them.
Okay.
I wanted that kind of stuff to come to me.
Because you want to tell them why it's important.
Yeah. I want to look at the listing and say, well, your kitchen is more renovated than theirs, but their yard is smaller.
Yeah.
I kind of want to give them some feedback and let them know I'm watching.
Like, how do you compare?
Yeah. And I think it's more important in this is a crucial time frame.
Yeah. Because
all it takes is one neighbor who's an agent to see them.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, really? Well, I'll help you.
Yeah.
But if I've been in touch.
They're like, oh, I already have an agent.
And if they know, well, Alyssa just called me about this house and that came up and she's been kind of guiding me.
Right.
Then they feel that relationship. If you set it up for it to just go to them automatically, then there's not nearly as much value.
Right.
And there's no relationship component.
Right. And I like that you're being mindful of how many, and because you're a higher volume.
Yeah.
You're dealing with a lot more leads than your average agent. So like, what was the median transactions? 10?
Yeah.
So let's just assume at any given time, your regular agent has 3, 4, less than 10 probably people on there.
At a time.
Yeah. This is not like you're getting that many email alerts.
Yes.
So I don't want anyone to panic and be like, I can't have that many emails.
Right.
It shouldn't be that many emails.
It's really not if you're smart about it.
Yeah.
And if you're mindful about it. If it's a neighborhood where there's just never any sales, every now and then we have those super tiny neighborhoods and the market report never goes out each month because there wasn't anything. If it's like that, sometimes I'll expand the area, but keep it with houses that are similar in size and age. And I can just call them and say, hey, I know this wasn't in your neighborhood, but it was close by. And this is what happened with that house. And it just closed and it closed for this much. So just use your brain.
Okay. Well, then that's a very important reason why crossover of these lists is so crucial.
Mhm.
If they're in a neighborhood or an area where not a lot of transactions are happening, so even their monthly report isn't showing up.
Yep.
That's why it's important that they're on your email list and that your email list is receiving something from you every month. The whole list, whether it's a well thought out newsletter, which we have a really good episode on newsletters.
Yeah.
It is so full of ideas for your newsletter that you can take out what you want and what works for you. It is episode 166. And but if you have set up an email newsletter or even if it's you checking in with your database, that's like, hey, this is what's going on with me and this is my latest listing. Something has to be showing up once a month, and that will catch the people who maybe didn't get a subdivision report that month.
And you'll hear me say in that episode that I don't do a monthly newsletter.
Right.
My email list it's not a template. It's not a graphic at the top with all this like information below. It literally looks like I opened my Gmail and typed an email and sent it. It might say, hey guys, I saw my pest control company is doing a special right now. If you need it, here's the code.
Yeah. And how often do you send that?
I only send it when I have something.
Yeah. So it could be once a month. It could be once a quarter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm sort of like just dripping it in as it's valuable, or like the lender that I use. If she has something really interesting in her newsletter, I might just send an email to my email list that says, hey, I just read that the feds are meeting and this is what interest rates are going to look like this year if you were thinking about buying this year.
Yeah.
The end. Like it's very short.
Right.
But it's always something that's interesting or valuable that I would like. If it makes me go,
Yeah.
then I go, oh, I need to send this to my email list and just keep it that way. So, but yes, you are correct. Setting anything up automatically, like a subdivision report or anything like that, can always give you a false sense of security.
Right.
Because I've had situations where they got a new email address.
You didn't know.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
The old one wasn't kicking emails back because it still exists. They just don't check it.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that they weren't hearing from me because I was only communicating.
Right.
Because they weren't in the urgency level of anything.
Yeah.
Which is why when I go through my database check-ins, I try to mix it up between
it's not the same
text,
type of
email, Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
Like where can I – because I've had times where I'll text someone and say, hey, I hope you're doing well. Wanted to make sure you're still getting the subdivision reports. And they're like, oh, hey, no, I actually got a new job. Got a new job 2 years ago.
Yeah, don't have that email anymore.
And I'm like, wow.
Okay, great.
Good thing I checked in.
Yeah.
They haven't heard from me, and I thought they were.
Yeah, that's a really easy check-in too.
So
hey,
easy.
just wanted to make sure you were still getting my emails. They'll be like, no, what emails?
Or like, hey, no need to respond to those emails. I just wanted to make sure the information was accurate for your neighborhood or
something.
Yeah.
Some sort of trigger for them to respond and be like, I'm not getting that. Or yeah, I am.
So that's why when I go down that list, and if you're not sure what list I'm talking about, the original database episode,
number
9 is where we talk about communicating in that way.
Yeah. And just like the false sense of security, thinking everyone's getting your email, maybe they're not. You've said many times, it's the same false sense of security when you post on social media.
Yeah.
And you think that everyone is seeing it, and they're not.
I posted, so if you're friends with me on social media, you know that I'm in real estate.
You don't know.
You know, we had that listener that wrote in recently that said, I want all of my leads to come from social media. I just want to be that. I want that to be my jam. That's where I want to spend my time. And we both reminded them like, hey, it's important. Social media is important, but it's more important that you're diversifying because you just don't know what you're missing and who's going to see it. And you need to mix it in with email, text, and being in front of real life people.
Yeah. And the only way you can maybe assure that someone is seeing you on social media is instead of being a producer of content and putting stuff out there, be a producer of comments and get out there and go DM your people because they will read a DM.
Yeah.
Or comment on their picture. Or God forbid you have someone on there who doesn't ever post. And they're not seeing your post.
Mm-mm.
What?
They're gone.
Yeah.
They've disappeared.
They do not exist in your social media ecosphere.
Sometimes when I'm going through my spreadsheet and I get to someone and I see that I texted them last time, I'll say, okay, well, maybe I'll just go to their social media. And I'm like, they haven't done a post since 2021.
Yeah, maybe they're not. Maybe the app is literally not on their phone.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm out.
They never have seen any. They have no idea what's going on in my life.
They haven't seen a single one of your listings or your pretty trees or your happy buyers. They don't know anything.
Yeah.
So you're not top of mind with them. Our database template is the key to repeat and referral business, and it's free for you.
Your database is the foundation of successful business, and we want to help you get started.
Not sure who you would put on the list? Don't worry, we have ideas for you.
Grab your free database template and Who Do You Know list at hustlehumblypodcast.com/start here. I have a funny story that happened yesterday.
Okay, please tell us.
So yesterday I was working at Cece's Coffee House and I was just cleaning out email and I ordered and I sat down and I thought the barista was kind of like looking at me and I'm like, I don't know. I just sat down, didn't think twice. I'm at mid email and he comes out from like behind and is like, I think you were my realtor. And my heart broke for a second because I'm like, this kid does not look familiar at all.
Oh, no.
And I was like, I was your realtor or I had a house for sale that you bought? He was like, no, you were my realtor. And I was like, what, how? Well, first I said, I'm so sorry, I don't remember. I said, what is your name? And he told me his name, didn't ring a bell.
Still nothing.
So I'm like thinking to myself, have I dropped the ball? So I said, he's like, well, I know it was you because you just sent me a card, a Christmas card. And I was like, okay, wait, what is your address? And he told me his address and I immediately remembered because now it was like
I am on the edge of my seat.
Okay, this is what happened. It was 3 years ago.
Okay.
The dad was the purchaser. The dad was like, yeah, my two kids, it was a brother and a sister. They're coming to LSU. I'm buying it for them. They came to see it one time.
You saw this guy one time.
And he was very quiet. The sister was chatty. I would have recognized her even though I also only met her that one time.
Right.
He just didn't really have a lot to say.
Okay.
He was more quiet. So I don't even really remember meeting him. They didn't come to closing.
Right.
Because I said, oh, when he said the address, I said, oh, your dad was the purchaser and you live with your sister. He was like, yeah. He was like, well, actually, she moved out last year and I have a roommate now and it's going great. She finished school and she's moved on, but the house is great. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was feeling so worried
that I
forgot you. And he was like, no. He was like, I only remembered you because I just got your Christmas card.
Yeah.
So I said, hold on. I said, I pulled open my database. I said, let me see how I have your label address.
Yeah.
And I had it labeled as Smith family.
So he's like, that's me.
Yeah, but I had done it that way because I knew, well, the dad doesn't live in here. And I do have the dad on my database too. But I was like, it's the kids. So I just changed it to his first and last name. Aww. And now I know his name. And I updated my database in real time.
I'm so happy.
But I thought to myself, he would not have recognized me if he hadn't just gotten my card.
Yeah.
He's and like, now
you're my realtor.
Yeah.
I love this story.
Isn't that wild?
That's so crazy.
I was like, I have to share this
so
because
you stayed top of mind.
I was panicking. I'm like, I've never forgotten like a face like that.
Right.
Where I just didn't know.
No, nothing.
But he's doing great. He's got this great job right next to where at the house I sold him.
I'm so happy
he's really
for
found
him.
his confidence.
So happy for him.
So chatty yesterday.
I love it. That's so cute. Oh my gosh. Okay, so do you want to hear what our friend ChatGPT said for how often to check in?
I would love to know what the machine thinks.
Well, the machine, to be fair, sourced all the other people who've ever posted about this.
Okay.
It didn't come up with this on its own. For a 2 to 3 month window, so like they're 2 to 3 months out, aim for every 2 to 3 weeks with light, valuable touches, then increase frequency as they get closer.
Yeah, I would say
take.
I think at least every week and a half to 2 weeks.
Okay, you feel like 2 to 3 weeks, too long.
Just to say, yeah, that's too much time for someone else to swoop in.
We don't want any swooping.
And, you know, because it is such a short time frame, I feel like there's so much information you can be providing on a weekly basis. I couldn't provide valuable information every week for 6 months.
No.
But we're just talking about 2 months here.
Okay, so that leads us into the rest of this list on ways to stay top of mind. What are some of the information that you would send?
Okay, so if it's a buyer, anytime I have a buyer reach out, I always tell them you're not too early.
Okay.
Like I even had someone reach out to me in January this year that said they're not moving till the fall, so maybe this is a little premature. That's what her email said. Well, when we talked on the phone, I said, well, look, it's not premature at all. I said, because they need to sell and buy. I said, if you're going to buy, it's never too early to talk to a lender.
Right.
We need to know that now.
Yeah.
Will the numbers change by fall? A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's even more reason. Like that's why the email template says, look, after we get the initial numbers, we need to check in with the lender every 3 months.
Yeah.
To say, hey, these are the numbers that you said then. Is it accurate still? Do we need, because what I tell my buyers is even if you're not ready yet, we need to set you up on some sort of search for the area that you're looking in the price range that you're looking in. So that way, when we start looking in person, you recognize like, oh, this is a good one.
Yeah.
Yes, because think about, when you're excited about a new listing.
Yeah.
So you need to recognize, does that happen a lot? Does it not happen? If it doesn't happen very often, that lets you know when the time comes to start looking at houses. If it's a good one, we need to act quickly.
Yeah.
So there's so much education that happens pre-buying that I find it very easy to stay in touch with buyers.
Yeah.
Whether it's checking in to get numbers redone, setting them up on a search, asking them how has that search been going.
You could just simply be like, hey, this is where rates are this week.
Yeah. Every week if you want.
Yeah.
And I will say on the buyer search, I do send it to them.
Okay.
Especially if they're not looking until fall.
Yeah.
Because I don't need to get every email she's getting.
Of the houses that come up.
Right. Between now and fall. So that's more for her information. I'm not looking to call her every time there's a new listing that meets her criteria right now because we're not actively going out and looking. But it's allowing her. It is good to check in and say, how are those listings looking? Are there any neighborhoods that keep popping up that you don't like that I can exclude? Do we need to tweak that search?
Right.
Are you expanding your area? So there's plenty of conversation long-term to have with a buyer.
Yeah.
With a seller, I think sending them our pre-listing photos checklist.
Yeah.
Soon. I also tell my sellers, look, you're not too early either because you may have homework.
Yeah.
Have you started packing? Have you started making donations of stuff that's not coming with you?
Right.
Like now is the time to start preparing your house
Do you need to do repairs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you wait until you're ready, you're going to have to spend a whole week.
Yeah.
Take off work or your weekends are gone.
Yeah, just do a little bit.
Yeah, start now. So yeah, I feel like I have plenty to keep in touch with when I know it's approaching.
I liked a couple of other ideas that were a little more general and actually would work for your whole email list, or it depends. It says to provide a fun and unexpected resource, like hidden gem restaurants or coffee shops in their target area.
Oh, cute.
I mean, hey, here are the restaurants nearby where you're looking. Or here are my favorite restaurants in town. Move out checklist, like you mentioned. And then like a list of your vendors. We did vendor list campaign in episode 283.
Yeah.
That one is a great one to check in with everyone. What's nice is when you check in with everyone, you can check them all off the list.
Such a good feeling. I love when I have a resource valuable enough to do that. So helpful.
Also, invite to local events, like if there's a homebuyer workshop or maybe there's a farmer's market or some other type of event that's happening. I think that's pretty smart too. Sending a video or voice memo.
I have become obsessed with voice memos, especially when we're in a group text, like a husband, wife, or family members. It's like everybody heard my voice. I even don't mind popping on video and saying, this is where we're at, you know?
Yeah. And that's so much more personal even than just the text.
Yeah, we get really comfortable texting, which is fine.
But audio is easy.
So much easier. And they can hear your tone of voice.
Yeah.
And figure out what's urgent, what's not urgent. Are we all on the same page?
Right. And then they can respond in their time.
Yeah.
So it's not like you had to take time out to have a whole long call.
I have a situation now where it's a parent, an aging parent that lives here. 3 kids all live in different places.
Okay.
They called me to help mom. I went on listing appointment and thought, this is so much information. Like, I'm their eyes and ears. So I quickly, in carpool, while I was sitting there, made a 6.5-minute video. And I just said, hey guys, I thought making this quick video would be easier because I feel like y'all need to understand the state of the house right now. The timeline is not going to be what you thought. Things need to happen. And also she's going to need some help making these things happen. And I had some suggestions and I went over them all. And I sent it to, I only communicate with the daughter. So I sent I did it as a private YouTube link. So like you can only watch the video if you have the link.
Yeah.
If you go to my YouTube, it's not there.
Yeah.
So I sent it to her and said, hey, I know you have to reiterate everything I said to both brothers. So I just made this video.
Right.
She was so thankful.
Yeah.
She was like, this is amazing. Like so thorough. I don't have to regurgitate it twice.
Right. I don't have to remember.
And when I was speaking in video, I was speaking to all 3 of them.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't just talking to her. I was like, y'all, this is what needs to happen. And this is what we need from each of you. So the videos have become so helpful. And like I said, I did it in the car. My hair wasn't clean.
Right.
I just did it.
Yeah. Because they just need the information.
They need the information and they needed to hear.
Another way to get in touch, handwritten notes. You know, simple note, personal. Maybe you include something useful. It said a magnet, a bookmark, a coffee gift card. Hey, I know you're preparing for the listing in a couple of months. I'm sure, you know, your hard
Coffee
work.
is needed.
Here you go. Here's a little coffee card.
Yeah.
Easy. Okay. And then we already talked about the vendor list. And then one of the other ideas was to create an exclusive buyer guide, some sort of PDF or a checklist, what every buyer needs to know before spring 2025, the ultimate checklist for finding your dream home. How about like just, a list of things to keep in mind as you're doing your search. You could do the same thing for sellers, ways to get your house ready. I mean, there's a lot of things you can tell people that are
And
helpful.
before you get to spending too much time creating things that you may not ever use, make sure you're doing the bare minimum
first.
Yeah. Like if you, because these are all just suggestions. And that's why y'all know that we both like to keep it very simple. And things that are simple for Katie may not be simple for me. And things that are simple for me may not be simple for Katie. I'm not creative. So using market data is easiest for me and the most time. If my time is very limited, I need it to be done. You must just do it.
One of my biggest notes here after first knowing who your people are, second was stop judging yourself.
Yeah.
We don't need it to be perfect, but if you don't reach out to them in any way, then you're going to lose somebody.
I'm almost hesitant to give like super creative ideas.
No, because I'll do this, I'll do that.
Yeah, I almost just want to be like,
no,
talk to your people. The end. Episode over.
Yeah, multiple channels. Talk to them. I do have a check-in text.
Okay.
In case you're needing help with the words. Hey, name. Just thinking of you. Let me know if you have any questions about your sale or purchase. No rush. Here to help when you're ready.
No rush. Here to help when you're ready. I love ending an email that way.
Yeah. I'm here to help when you're ready.
Yeah.
Do you need anything?
How does your time frame look?
Right. How does your time frame look?
I want to pull up. I don't have my phone. I wanted to pull up that email that I shared with Hustle Humbly Community that I sent in January to all my Trello pipeline people.
Okay.
I had one for sellers, one for buyers, and I just sent it.
Did you post it in the group?
I did.
Okay. I'll get it for you.
Thank you.
In the meantime, will you talk to us about this?
Yeah, so I do snooze emails based on what the conversation was.
Okay.
So if someone says, hey, just a real life example. I have a seller. I went to the house. She doesn't live here. So she told me the door code. It wasn't ready at all. And she needed to make a trip here to clean out some stuff.
Okay.
She told me she was going to come in 2 weekends. So I said, great, keep me posted on your progress. So I snoozed her email for a week and a half.
Okay.
So it popped back up in my email. Thank God, because I would have forgotten.
Yeah.
And it said, there was her email. So I responded to it and said, hey, just checking to make sure you're still planning on making a trip this weekend to come clean out the rest of the house. She said, yes, I am. So I snoozed that email again to the following week and said, hey, when it popped back up, hey, how did the clean out go? Oh, it went really good. I am going to have to come back this coming Saturday to make one final load. Awesome. So I snoozed it to Monday.
Mhm.
Monday, it pops in my email. I respond to it. Hey, how did everything go? Were you able to do that? So because I love to collect names,
Right.
my pipeline at times can get a little bit long.
Yeah.
And I think I need to remember sometimes, do I need to move them to the prospect list where they're maybe not in quite such a hurry?
Right.
So it's important that I'm keeping my focus and effort.
You're requalifying them.
I'm requalifying. So this is the one that I sent. This is the email that I sent to my buyers. Hey there, Happy New Year. I hope you're doing well. I'm organizing my files for 2025 and I wanted to check in and see if you're still interested in buying. I know you had a very specific need and location in mind and that your time frame was a little bit uncertain. Has anything changed? Let me know how your plans are looking and I'd be happy to refine my search for you. If you have not checked in with your lender in a while, it may be a good time to do that. I look forward to hearing from you. Okay, and then this is the one I sent to my sellers. I hope you're doing well. I'm organizing my files for 2025, and I wanted to check in and see how your progress and time frame are looking. No rush on my end. I just wanted to be sure that I'm putting my priorities and attention where they are needed most.
Easy.
And the responses I got
pressure.
were so helpful.
They were.
Some people were like, hey, we've just decided with rates being high, we're just going to make our current house work.
Okay.
So guess what? That's one less person.
I'm not going to follow up with you.
Yeah, I can just move them to prospect now.
Right.
They're not in the urgent
and
need.
they stay on your email list.
Yeah.
And they stay in your database if it's someone you know.
Yes.
So they still hear from you.
Correct.
But you don't need to follow up with them in that way.
Right.
Okay, I love it.
So the qualifying email was super helpful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, I love it. I think that's all I got.
Awesome. I have one last thing that I think would be the perfect way to end this episode.
You're perfect.
We had a big conference with my company years ago, and I've shared the story because it has impacted me and my mindset so much because I do want to maintain relationships and I am like a social person. So
Yeah.
It is hard for me to accept the fact that I can't have 1,000 best friends.
It's so hard to say goodbye.
I know. But our company brought in a speaker from Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
To speak at this conference we had. And the main thing that she said that really just gave me permission to relax a minute was that she said, you don't have to be best friends with every client. You just have to provide them with a level of service and value that makes you unforgettable. And I was like, but all I heard was, you don't have to be best friends with them.
Like, oh, thank goodness.
I do have my own life outside of work.
Yeah.
I do have friends outside of work. I have family outside of work. Are there clients that we stay better friends? Yes. And that's usually because we friend each other on social media and we feel like we know each other so much because we're constantly commenting on each other's stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like so refreshing to hear I don't have to send them a birthday cake every year. I am not that person.
We're not that kind of friends.
I don't have to wish them happy wedding anniversary.
Right.
I'm going to let their husband do that because I don't have to be every single thing to every single person that I work with.
Right.
I just need to be really good at real estate.
Right.
And providing value.
Yeah.
So that I can have more control over my time And I can still be there for my real friends
That's
outside
right.
of real estate.
I love it.
So permission to just be valuable.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do. Very simple.
And I don't know how we made it through the whole episode without saying, and not to be a secret agent.
Yeah, don't be a secret agent.
Don't be a secret
If they
agent.
don't hear from you, they don't remember you.
I mean, people actually sometimes say, oh, I didn't know you were still selling real estate.
Fail. I have failed.
Right. I am still, because y'all, people leave the business every day and believe that everyone that knows you, who knows 15 realtors, also knows that half of them won't be around.
Right.
So they're not sure if you're around.
Correct.
So you have to keep reminding them.
You do, in fact. Yes.
Okay. Are we ready for a toast?
Let's do a toast.
Okay. Goodbye.
Hi, my name is Angie Likens, and I am from Flower Mound, Texas. And I have a toast for, first of all, my husband, because he has been a super supporter and cheerleader of me no matter what I'm doing. And he has just supported everything I've done. And he listens to all of my conversations about real estate and marketing and just makes everything possible and working at home. He's a great partner. So that is my toast for today.